Chapter 8 of The Pirate's Own Book by Charles Elms. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ernst Schnell. The Pirate's Own Book by Charles Elms. Chapter 8. History of the Adventures, Capture and Execution of the Spanish Pirates. In the autumn of 1832 there was anchored in the man-of-war grounds off the Havana a clipper-built vessel of the fairest proportions. She had great length and breadth of beam, furnishing stability to bear a large surface of sail, and great depth to take hold of the water and prevent drifting. Long, low in the waist, with lofty raking masts which tapered away till they were almost too fine to be distinguished, the beautiful arrowy sharpness of her bow and the fineness of her gradually receding quarters showed a model capable of the greatest speed in sailing. Her low sides were painted black, with one small, narrow riband of white. Her raking masts were clean scraped, her ropes were hauled taut, and in every point she wore the appearance of being under the control of seamanship and strict discipline. Upon going on board, one would be struck with surprise at the deception relative to the tonnage of the schooner, when viewed at a distance. Instead of a small vessel of about 90 tons, we discover that she was upwards of 200, that her breadth of beam is enormous, and that those spars, which appeared so light and elegant, are of unexpected dimensions. In the center of the vessel, between the fore and main masts, there is a long brass 32-pounder, fixed upon a carriage revolving in a circle, and so arranged that in bad weather it can be lowered down and housed, while on each side of the deck were mounted guns of smaller caliber. This vessel was fashioned at the will of avarice, for the aid of cruelty and injustice. It was an African slave trader, the schooner Panda. She was commanded by Don Pedro Gilbert, a native of Catalonia in Spain, and son of a grandee, a man 36 years of age, and exceeding handsome, having a round face, pearly teeth, round forehead, and full black eyes, with beautiful raven hair, and a great favorite with the ladies. He united great energy, coolness, and decision with superior knowledge in mercantile transactions and the Guinea trade, having made several voyages after slaves. The mate and owner of the Panda was Don Bernardo de Soto, a native of Coruña, Spain, and son of Isidor de Soto, manager of the royal revenue in said city. He was now 25 years of age, and from the time he was 14 had cultivated the art of navigation, and at the age of 22 had obtained the degree of captain in the India service. After a regular examination, the correspondent diploma was awarded him. He was married to Donna Petrona Pereira, daughter of Don Benito Pereira, a merchant of Coruña. She was at this time just 15, and ripening into that slight fullness of form and roundness of limb which in that climate mark the early passing from girl into woman. Her complexion was the dark olive tinge of Spain, her eyes jet black, large and lustrous. She had great sweetness of disposition and ingenuousness. To the strictest discipline De Soto united the practical knowledge of a thorough seaman. But the master spirit of the whole was Francisco Ruiz, the carpenter of the Panda. This individual was of the middle size, but muscular, with a short neck. His hair was black and abundant, and projected from his forehead, so that he appeared to look out from under it like a bonnet. His eyes were dark chestnut, but always restless. His features were well defined, his eyelashes jet black. He was familiar with all the out-of-the-way places of the Havana, and entered into any of the dark abodes without ceremony. From report his had been a wild and lawless career. The crew were chiefly Spaniards, with a few Portuguese, South Americans, and half-castes. The cook was a young Guinea negro, with a pleasant countenance and good-humored, with a sleek glossy skin and tattooed on the face, and although entered in the schooner's books as free, yet he was a slave. In all there were about 40 men. Her cargo was an assorted one, consisting in part of barrels of rum and gunpowder, muskets, cloth, and numerous articles, with which to purchase slaves. The Panda sailed from the Havana on the night of the 20th of August, and upon passing the Moro Castle, she was hailed and asked, "Where bound?" She replied, "St. Thomas." The schooner now steered through the Bahama Channel on the usual route towards the coast of Guinea. A man was constantly kept at the mast head on the lookout. They spoke a corvette, and on the morning of the 20th September, before light, and during the second mate's watch, a brig was discovered heading to the southward. Captain Gilbert was asleep at the time, but got up shortly after she was seen, and ordered the Panda to go about and stand for the brig. A consultation was held between the captain, mate, and carpenter, when the latter proposed to board her, and if she had any specie to rob her, confine the men below, and burn her. This proposition was instantly acceded to, and a musket was fired to make her heave to. This vessel was the American brig Mexican, Captain Butman. She had left the pleasant harbor of Salem, Massachusetts, on the last Wednesday of August, and was quietly pursuing her voyage towards Rio Janeiro. Nothing remarkable had happened on board, says Captain B., until 2:30 in the morning of September 20th, in latitude 38° north, longitude 24:30 west, the attention of the watch on deck was forcibly arrested by the appearance of a vessel which passed across our stern about half a mile from us. At 4 a.m. saw her again passing across our bow so near that we could perceive that it was a schooner with a foretopsail and topgallant sail. As it was somewhat dark, she was soon out of sight. At daylight saw her about 5 miles off the weather quarter, standing on the wind on the same tack we were on. The wind was light at south-southwest, and we were standing about southeast. At 8 a.m. she was about 2 miles right to windward of us. Could perceive a large number of men upon her deck, and one man on the foretopgallant yard looking out, was very suspicious of her, but knew not how to avoid her. Soon after saw a brig on our weather bow steering to the northeast. By this time the schooner was about 3 miles from us, and 4 points forward of the beam. Expecting that she would keep on for the brig ahead of us, we tacked to the westward, keeping a little off from the wind to make good way through the water, to get clear of her if possible. She kept on the eastward about 10 or 15 minutes after we had tacked, then wore round, set square sail steering directly for us, came down upon us very fast, and was soon within gunshot of us, fired a gun and hoisted Patriot colors, and backed main topsail. She ran along to windward of us, hailed us to know where we were from, where bound, etc., then ordered me to come on board in my boat. Seeing that she was too powerful for us to resist, I accordingly went, and soon as I got alongside of the schooner, 5 ruffians instantly jumped into my boat, each of them being armed with a large knife, and told me to go on board the brig again. When they got on board they insisted that we had got money, and drew their knives, threatening us with instant death, and demanding to know where it was. As soon as they found out where it was, they obliged my crew to get it up out of the run upon deck, beating and threatening them at the same time, because they did not do it quicker. When they had got it all upon deck, and hailed the schooner, they got out their launch and came and took it back on board the schooner, with 10 boxes containing $20,000. Then returned to the brig again, drove all the crew into the forecastle, ransacked the cabin, overhauling all the chests, trunks, etc., and rifled my pockets, taking my watch and 3 doubloons which I had previously put there for safety, robbed the mate of his watch and $200 in specie, still insisting that there was more money in the hold. Being answered in the negative, they beat me severely over the back, said they knew there was more, that they should search for it, and if they found any they would cut all our throats. They continued searching about in every part of the vessel for some time longer, but not finding any more specie, they took 2 coils of rigging, a side of leather, and some other articles, and went on board the schooner, probably to consult what to do with us, for in 8 or 10 minutes they came back, apparently in great haste, shut us all below, fastened up the companionway, forescuttle and after hatchway, stove our compasses to pieces in the binnacles, cut away tiller ropes, halyards, braces, and most of our running rigging, cut our sails to pieces badly, took a tub of tarred rope yarn, and what combustibles they could find about deck, put them in the caboose house and set them on fire, then left us, taking with them our boat and colors. When they got alongside the schooner, they scuttled our boat, took in their own, and made sail, steering to the eastward.